Next storyteller is Kelly Robertus, who's been here before. Give it for Kelly Robertus.
All right, Kathy, why did you have to do that funny song right now? Why? All right. Okay. All right. Sorry. Okay. It's Thanksgiving Eve, 2001, and I'm home in my high-rise apartment lit only by Christmas lights. I start my bath ritual, run the water all hot. I pour in lavender sea salts, and they mix with my moisturizing bath beads. I pour myself a glass of Merlot, turn on Diana Krall, light my vanilla-scented candles, and everything is perfect. Until I think about my trip tomorrow. I work as a flight attendant and shouldn't really complain because with clever scheduling and a company overage, I only had to work 2 of the last 5 years. It's not that I don't like to work, I just don't like people on planes that much. And packing makes me nervous. And I'm not too fond of answering questions like, when are we gonna land? What's the weather like outside? What state are we flying over? Flying over a square state. The weather is, I look outside, blue. And we will land sometime. Definitely. Those are my ready answers. I try to be nice. But it's just not normal plummeting through the air in a metal tube at 600 miles an hour. I read somewhere that your aura can't even keep up with you. It lags behind about 2 seconds. Hence the lag part of jet lag, I suppose. But it's the first Thanksgiving after 9/11, so the airport might not be too crowded. People are still scared of bird flu, mad cow, terrorists, and that white powdery stuff. I throw some shit in my suitcase and do some calming breaths, and put on some lipstick and head out to work. On my way to the airport, I bring Michael, the black homeless man that sits on a milk crate in front of the CVS and watches my bike, a tangerine. He likes them because they're easy to peel. Where you going, doll? He asks. Not sure, but end up somewhere. Us flight attendants can be a little snooty if it's not Paris, China, or some other exotic place. We really don't care where we end up, as long as there's a bar and no bedbugs. Michael smiles and says, okay, I'll watch your bike and shoo away potential thieves with my cane. Thank you, happy Thanksgiving. I put $1 in a Slurpee cup. Hope you get some pie. Which reminds me, I want some pie too. I start the commute to O'Hare. I pull my hair back in a snood, which is one of those 40s looking hair nets, and surrender to the travel zone. I get stopped at security. A female TSA agent instructs me to unpack, and strange objects start to emerge. A mini-ma, a yoga strap, a roll-up piano, an oxygen mask, a hot water bottle with its own knitted sweater, and a whole bunch of other accoutrements. She eyes him strangely, then lets me go. The airport is bustling. I go to flight operations to meet my 2 other flying partners. For both, English is their second language. I wish I spoke a language. There is Flaco, a flamboyant gay steward with a brilliant fuck you attitude. He's from Portugal. And then there's Spanish Maria, an ex-beauty queen type, whose face looks 38-ish, but hands and neck say 60. Reminder to self, ask in a nice way if she got her face done in Sao Paulo. A lot of flight attendants would get their eyes done on the Brazilian layovers because it's a lot cheaper than in the States. But the pilots complained to the company, said it looked unprofessional for us to work the flight home wearing big dark sunglasses. Now in our new work rules, it specifically says no invasive surgery on layovers. Pilots ruined it for everyone. Maria, Guaco, and I walked through the terminal, pulling our black rollerboards behind us like lame tails. Guaco says, "Geez, it's crowded. I thought people were scared of bird flu, mad cow, terrorists, and that other white powdery stuff. Can't we get a break?" "Where are we going?" Maria asks. "C-12, I say." "No, where are we flying to?" she asks. "Oh, you want specifics." I look at Guaco, who is our purser, and he shrugs and says, "Who cares? We end up in Allentown, worst layover in the system. We'll figure it out as we go." We sit on the empty plane, waiting for the pilots to do the required briefing. Usually entails information about the weather, possible turbulence, and do they take their coffee black. And new after September 11th is an added security procedure to set up a verbal password for entering the cockpit. No more fun pranks on the pilots. We used to put dry ice and water into a Dixie cup and shove it in our cleavage. Our blouses would be smoking, and we'd enter the cockpit and go, "Is it hot in here? Is it just me?" Nope, all business now. A short fat man with a captain's hat on enters the plane, followed by a first officer who looks like a surfer dude. The captain introduces himself. "I'm Dan, the captain." And then the first officer introduces himself. "I'm Dan, too." "This should be fun," Maria says, while flipping through a Spanish Vogue. The captain takes out a crumpled coffee-stained note, squints his eyes, and reads it like it's his opus. "First off, I'm carrying a firearm. And secondly, I have a date tonight. So if we have weather, I'm going to shoot the hole." Guaco smiles and says, "A gun, a hole, a date? Sounds interesting." I give him a shush look. A lot of ex-military guys don't have the best senses of humor. But last year, I flew a military charter to Russian province, one of the stands, Kyrgyzstan. And the young soldiers on the flight put on aprons and lipstick and did our beverage service for us. They were laughing. I got one of those weird Russian hats, and I was thinking about giving it to homeless Michael. I have a soft spot for the military guys and try to thank them for their service. But shooting the hole is pilot speak, because if there's a big storm and it would take too long to fly around, a skilled pilot will find a hole and fly right through it. They always shoot the hole on the last leg of the day. You know when you have to pee really bad? Getting home is kind of like that when you travel a lot. We actually have an industry word for it. The desperate need to get home is called homeitis. We're supposed to watch out for it. The captain continues. "I don't want any problems on my plane today. No sick people, no drunk people, no funny-looking people. You don't like the looks of them, I yank them off myself. If we have a problem on board, strap in because we're taking a dive." He looks at Dan too and says, "Isn't that right, Dan?" Dan too shakes his head in total agreement. Guaco rolls his eyes and inspects his new manicure. "Listen up," the captain says like a curt gym teacher. "Do any of you know self-defense?" I look to Maria, who's still flipping through her Spanish Vogue, and Guaco yawns extra loud and says, "I'm a lover, not a fighter." This seems to irritate Captain Dan, who starts fidgeting with his crumpled paper. He clears his throat. "If you need to get into the cockpit, the secret code is Captain Morgan. I used it in the Army. You know who Captain Morgan is?" I do, I say. "It's the spice rum I puked up in my mom's station wagon after a high school prom." I have bad associations with Captain Morgan. Can we use another password, please? Captain Dan looks stumped and scratches his bald head and says, "Okay, how about shining cranium? That means everything's copacetic." Maria looks up. "What's copacetic?" "Means everything's okay," the captain barks. "You don't have to get irritated." The captain stares at her and says, "Okay, if we have a situation, if the shit's hitting the fan," then he scratches his head again and says, "If you're in duress, okay, if a fucking terrorist is trying to take over the plane, the code word is Jack Daniels. Remember, if you say Jack Daniels, we're taking a dive. Isn't that right, Dan? Dan 2 looks up at Dan 1 and nods. The captain continues, Jack Daniels, hold on, those motherfuckers will be rolling. Now let's roll. Maria looks a little scared and says, I don't want to roll, and I don't like all this foul language crap. It's Thanksgiving in your country. Doesn't that mean anything to you? Dan 2 shows some balls and says, let's make the password turkey, if everything's okay. And pumpkin pie, if we have a problem. Shouldn't it be the other way around? I asked. Turkey has a derogatory feel. What's derogatory, Maria? All right, let's cut the crap, the captain says. What crap? Glocko puts his hand up to his mouth and goes, oh, which is known as the cancel dance. If we want to supercharge it, we stomp our feet and twirl around twice. You think I want to be here? The captain says, straightening his hat. What about your date in Allentown? Glocko's winks. Shh, you're pissing him off. We decide to kill the password. We don't use the password. It's a short flight, so if the Dans want to pee, they can hold it. Setting up our galleys, Glocko grabs an ice mallet and starts mock pounding Maria's head and says, see, security's a joke. Take away nail clippers and leave this perfect tool. Maria's fear encourages him. Glocko puts down the mallet, unzips his black toilet bag, and pulls out a long string of dental floss, doubles it up, and stands behind me guillotine fashion. Look, I could strangle Kelly, no problem. I want to yell Jim Beam, or was it Jack Daniels? I go to the back of the plane and start cracking ice and think, yeah, this mallet is a perfect tool. The phone dings. I answer. Kelly, 2 left. Glocko here. We have wood in first class. What wood? I ask. Seat 3A has a heart on, and it's attached to a handsome guy. Come look. Glocko. Okay, bye. I put the mallet down and head up to first class. Ooh. Then I go to the cockpit and let them know we're ready for takeoff. And Captain Dan says, oh yeah, I shoot over my left shoulder. I close the cockpit door and think back to Barbie boot camp, which is code for flight attendant training. We learned a few essentials, like if you're facing the aft of the plane, which is the tail, your left is not right. It's only left if you're facing the nose. So if the captain turns around and shoots over his left shoulder, it could be my right. I'll figure it out later. We do our 2 flights to who knows where, and then land in Allentown. Chosen for our layover, we bolt to the hotel van. I put my luggage behind it as a courtesy, and then in slow motion it starts rolling towards my luggage. Leave all carrying items behind is a commandment that was drilled in at Barbie boot camp, but I need my stuff. So I lunge for my bag and the van rolls over my shoe. Thank goodness for these shoes. Then a thump and a crack and it rolls over my luggage. Captain Dan runs to the driver's side, opens it and jams on the brakes. Dan 2 claps and says, great save, Captain, and no damage. I start to pick up my escaped toiletries. I look at Dan 2 and say, don't I count as damage? Look at my suitcase and shoe. Nothing that a stiff drink won't fix, the captain says. He hands me his Diet Coke and winks. Captain Morgan and I are on a time schedule, he says. There is a rule. We are not allowed to drink alcohol 12 hours before flying, so sometimes we have it ready-made before we get off the plane. We call it crew juice. I look at the crew juice and say, no, it's okay, Captain. I'm good, thank you. Well, okay. He hands me the Diet Coke and I take a swig and remember my prom. We arrive at the hotel. A young doorman dressed in a long wool coat with a top hat welcomes us. I ask him where I can get some pie. Everything closed, Mom. We have a gift store, but it's closed. Captain Dan reaches into his flight bag and hands me a squished granola bar. I go to my room, unpack, and feel, uneasy, anxious. So I decide I'm going on the pie quest. I take the lift down to the lobby and ask the doorman which way to go. "Just don't go that way," he says. "Which way?" He points and I see lighted Stars of David decorations. "Okay, don't go towards the Star of Davids, right?" He nods. I walk the other way and follow my pie instincts. The streets are deserted, but I get a faint smell of marshmallows and sweet potatoes. I follow the scent to a church. I see a handwritten note posted on a wooden door next to a crucifix. It reads, "Private Party." That just doesn't seem right, does it? I knock anyway, and what looks like homeless Michael opens the door. "Hello, ma'am. This is Thanksgiving dinner for veterans. Are you a veteran?" "No, but I'm a lonely flight attendant on a layover with a broken suitcase, a squished granola bar, a run-over shoe, and 2 Dans. I'm just looking for pie." He laughs and brings me some pie, and I am thankful. On the walk back to the hotel, I see Stars of David decorations everywhere, but I don't panic, and I find my way. Back in my hotel room, I eat pie, and it tastes, not as good as I remember. I think I have homeitis. Glocko, Maria, and I meet the Dans in the morning. I tell Glocko, "Be nice." And Captain Dan does seem much more relaxed after his date. We agree on a password: Grey Goose if everything's okay, and Absolute if we have a problem. I think it should be the other way around, but keep quiet. Back in Chi-Town, I walk back to my apartment and pass homeless Michael, who seems completely at home and happy with just his milk crate in a Slurpee cup. "Hope you had a nice trip, doll." "Yes, thank you, and I got some pie, too." Michael smiles and says, "I got me some pie, too," after I raked and bagged my grandma's leaves. Back in my apartment, I start my bath ritual and decide I'm going to start cutting down on my creature comforts. I've become a little soft. So I get myself a beer and only light 1 candle, and don't pour in the bath beads, and I make myself listen to smooth jazz. It's progress. Oh, guess what? I'm learning how to shoot my own hole. Not in a erotic sexual Glocko way, but in a mindful way. I'm finding calm, safe air. And sometimes it's wonderfully strange because the hole will shoot me. I don't have to work until Christmas, so my aura has time to catch up. Oh, and the bath is not perfect, but it's perfect.